Hello, Disney fans. I am so glad to be talking about Once Upon a Time again. I know it's been forever. There are a lot of Disney projects that I want to do, especially that line up with different holidays, different occasions. Um, so there's going to be a lot of Disney videos that I want to work on. But I'm always going to come back to once, and when I say always, I do mean always because at doing 3 episodes per review, it's probably going to take me the rest of my life to get through this. But I really think that that's the only way to cover everything, and in a story this complex, it is hard to know what to leave out. So there's going to be a lot of once videos intermixed with my other videos. Hopefully you all stick with it and enjoy it. If not, maybe you can just, if you don't want to watch them all, maybe you can skip through to where I cover your favorite episodes, but that's all up to you. In this video, we're going to be talking about the first 3 episodes of Season 3. I'm not really going to do a recap because that would take forever. That's a whole video in itself, and I've already done those videos. So if you're not familiar with the series, feel free to go back to my other videos about once and catch up if you want. Or if you know the series, which I'm guessing you do if you're watching this, you know where we're at. So at this point, Henry has been taken by Greg and Tamara, who work for some very sinister person. Although I'm not going to say who just yet, in case you are getting to know the series through these videos, feeling out whether you want to watch it or not. So, of course, Henry's family is going to look for him. That includes his adoptive mother, Regina, his birth mother, Emma, her parents, which would be, of course, his maternal grandparents, Snow and Charming, and, of course, his paternal grandfather, Rumpelstiltskin. At this point, they all believe that Henry's father, Balefire, Bayfasort, is dead. That makes Henry Rumpel's only living relative, and he is not going to give up until he saves Henry. And he is really sure he's going to be the only one who's able to do that.
Because I want to succeed.
What makes you think I'm going to fail?
Well, how could you know? You don't believe in your parents? Or in magic? Not even yourself.
Rumpel knows exactly what they are up against. He's not only determined, but he knows the enemy that they're facing. Now, of course, Bay is not dead. Bay ended up back in the Enchanted Forest. He's run into Mulan and Aurora, and he's about to meet Robin Hood. And he knows that the best chance he has of making it back to Emma and Henry is using his father's magic, which would be at the castle that Rumpelstiltskin once called home.
He always had a plan. He would have left something behind if he ever found himself back here, something I can use to contact Emma to get to. I know it. I just need to get to his castle. Who's your father? Rumpelstiltskin.
Bay doesn't know yet that Henry ended up taken to Neverland. And Greg and Tamara had no idea who they were working for. They thought that they were part of a group that was out to destroy magic. Long way from the truth. When they arrive at Neverland with Henry, they end up running into a gang of the Lost Boys, of course led by Peter Pan. The last thing Peter Pan wants to do is to destroy magic. In fact, he's counting on magic. By the way, forget everything you knew about Peter Pan from the Disney movie. This version is way different. And I do have to say that if you know the original Peter Pan book, he wasn't as much of a hero as you think. And I have to also say, my best friend and sister pointed this out to me long before I really thought about that. when you're a kid, you think, yay, magical time, going to Neverland, going to fight the pirates and meet the mermaids and have all kinds of fun adventures. No. Peter Pan kidnaps children. That might not be what it seems like in the Disney movies because it seems like he just wants to take them somewhere to have magical adventures, but that is what he's doing. And the books describe him thinning out the Lost Boys on occasion, with some pretty dark implications to it. Well, Greg is killed right away, and Tamara tells Henry to run. Rumple, by this point, is separated from the others. He's looking for Henry on his own. And he comes across Tamara, and he tries to find out just where exactly Henry is. And she's willing to tell him, and she's sorry for what she did.
I know. You're really born.
And 3, 2, 1.
No.
We all saw that one coming. If you've seen the show at all, you know that if there's one thing you don't want to do if you want to live, it's threaten a member of Rumple's family, hurt a member of Rumple's family, put somebody that Rumple loves in any kind of danger or hurt them in any way. He doesn't forgive that. There is nothing more important to him than family. As of right now, Henry is trying to avoid the Lost Boys, with one exception. He's hooked up with someone who claims to be a Lost Boy, also trying to run from Pan. Now, this Lost Boy happens to have a bottle of pixie dust, but says he can't use it, and Henry figures out that's because he doesn't believe.
Pixie dust is for flying.
Don't you remember the dust doesn't work?
That's because you have to believe.
I definitely do not believe.
That's okay. Because I do.
Henry doesn't know it yet, of course, but he's in the middle of being tricked big time. And I have to say, I kind of got a creepy feeling the first time I saw this, even without knowing what was going to happen. Just something about the other lost boy didn't feel right. He doesn't believe when he's on Neverland, a place that runs on belief. I mean, it's possible, but it doesn't seem likely, and there's just something about his mannerisms. That's a great tribute to the talents of the actor who plays him, Robbie Kay. And I'll talk more about that later on. But if there's one thing that Peter Pan is good at, it's screwing with people's minds. And he sends his second in command to do just that to Rumple.
There's something he wanted you to have. Isn't it funny? The things we haven't thought about in years still have the ability to make us cry.
I knew that this scene was going to be important when I first saw it. Of course, I put a lot of focus on it because Rumple is my favorite character. It is so moving to see how well Robert Carlyle portrays the deep turmoil, the deep pain that Rumple is in at this moment. It's always amazing to see such amazing acting. And by the way, slightly belated happy birthday to Robert Carlyle, who celebrated his birthday April 14th. I highly doubt that you're ever going to see this, but if you do, happy birthday, and know that I am a huge fan and deeply love your acting. Now, in addition to this being a very well acted scene, a very moving scene, it raises questions. Why would this little doll mean so much to Rumple? Obviously, it's something connected to his past, and we're going to be learning a lot about that this season. there's going to be a lot of questions answered and a lot of discoveries about the characters and a lot of relationship building in this season. Relationships change. And that that's the major point of this season, I think, is to get the different characters in the relationships that they're supposed to. While I'm at this point, I think I should probably address why I'm going to be coughing a lot in these videos. If I stopped every time to re-record it, I would never get done. For any viewer who's wondering, I don't want to go into personal info about myself this way. It's not something I'm ashamed of for any reason, but I just don't want it to be the focus of this. I'm not sick with any type of virus. I do have a medical condition. It is being treated. It's under control. I'm okay. But you will hear me coughing a fair bit in these videos for a while, probably off and on, depending on how I'm doing at the time. But if you're wondering, know that I'm doing okay. It's not really changing how I live my life. It's become part of my daily life. It's just something I deal with. So anyway, on to the story again. Relationships are going to be built, and Emma plays kind of a focal point in getting people together in this season. This is one of the very few points when I actually cheer for Emma, when I actually think that she's doing something heroic, or at least trying to.
With him? No, Emma. We have to do this the right way.
No, we don't. We just need to succeed. And the way we do that is by just being who we are. A hero, a villain, a pirate. It doesn't matter which, because we're going to need all those skills, whether we can stomach them or not.
Wow, I'm looking back on this and I'm really missing the days when I could actually like Emma. Those days ended with this season, but again, that's going to have to come later as the story unfolds. They are definitely going to need all those skills. Pan is the most dangerous enemy they have faced so far. Maybe the most I don't know if I'd say the most dangerous in the entire series, but he's definitely up there. And he's got his clutches on Henry. And Henry is just about to realize who he's in with. Because Pan tells him his name. I don't know if it was a mistake saying his name or if he wanted Henry to know already. Probably wanted him to know already. Henry's not stupid, and he knows as soon as he hears his name, there's something going on that's very wrong here.
How'd you know my name? I never told you.
Let's make it a game. A puzzle to solve.
You lied to me. You are a lost boy. You work for Pan.
Not exactly. I am Peter Pan.
If you're watching this for the first time, you might be wondering just what exactly does Pan want Henry for? What is special about Henry? Well, remember the pixie dust, how Henry believed. That was a test. Henry is the truest believer, has the heart of the truest believer. And that is something Pan desperately needs. But even though he needs that, he's not above playing a few games with Henry's family, even if it does put his plan at risk. He doesn't believe it puts his plan at risk. He thinks he's just going to be able to toy with them and they're going to fail. In fact, he gives Emma something that's going to lead her right to Henry. If she does one specific thing.
A map that will lead you straight to your son.
If this is some kind of trap.
I may not be the most well-behaved boy on the island, but I always keep my promises. The path to finding Henry is on this parchment.
Pan isn't lying. She does have to admit who she really is. It's another mind trick, but we'll get to that shortly. She admits to being everything that she'd ever really denied outright, being the savior, Henry's mother, the product of true love, the daughter of Snow White and Prince Charming. Everything that she admits to the map has no result. Regina's getting a little desperate by this point, and she says, okay, forget this. I'm going to use magic on the map to get it to lead us to Henry. Bad idea, because the map's not going to work that way, the way it's enchanted. In fact, it leads them right into a trap.
No. Cheaters never win.
During the fight that results, two major things happen. The first is that Emma sees something of herself in one of the Lost Boys, and that gets her to admit what the map wants her to admit.
It's just on this island. I don't feel like a hero or a savior. I just feel like what I've always been. An orphan.
They start to go towards Henry, but the problem is Pan can move his camp in the blink of an eye, which he does. So they've been headed the completely wrong direction. And then they look at the map and realize Pan's moved. So now they gotta start all over. This is easier said than done, because the second consequence of the fight with the Lost Boys was Charming was injured with a weapon coated in dream shade poison.
So what happened to you, mate? Let me see. Nero barely nicked me. I'm sorry, mate. You know how long? Days. Weeks at most. You won't see Selma.
Of course, if you know the Charmings, you know that they never give up hope. The group has decided to look for Tinkerbell, because they think Pan might trust her. Tinkerbell being a fairy, they figure she can get pixie dust, which might help. Well, Tinkerbell's not exactly going to be willing to help. She tried to help Regina before, and she got in big trouble for it.
Good evening, Green. Hey, Blue. You look amazing. Did you do something to... You're late. You have already broken every rule in the book. Curfew. Dust discipline. You got big for no reason.
This is one of the scenes that show what a jerk the Blue Fairy really is. She treats Tinkerbell like she's way below her, just like she did Nova in the earlier seasons. Tinkerbell tried to help Regina by using pixie dust to guide her to her true love, who she pointed out to her as the man with the lion tattoo on his arm. Regina was afraid to have her heart broken again, and she thought that the rage that she had was all she had, so she didn't go through with it.
What you need is love.
I had love, and he's dead. And I suffered. And what you sent me toward wasn't going to change that.
Blue cruelly stripped Tinkerbell of her wings and of her magic. This is way disproportionate retribution, if you ask me. Tinkerbell took a little pixie dust and tried to lead Regina to the person who could heal her heart. What was the harm? The worst that could happen was Regina staying on the path she was already on. Nothing bad came of it, so this was for no reason. It really shows what a cruel person Blue was. Yeah, sorry, I could rant a lot on the Blue Fairy. Not my favorite character in this. Tinkerbell does agree to help, eventually. Even though she doesn't have magic, she agrees to do what she can. And they're gonna need help, because Henry's being manipulated by Pan big time. Pan tells him that Henry is destined for a very special purpose.
Naturally, you do. We've been waiting for you a very long time, Henry. Long before you were even born.
I don't believe that.
You should. This place runs on imagination, on belief. But your world stopped believing. Magic is dying, and you, Henry, need to save it.
In my world, you mean?
In every world.
Meanwhile, Bay is also trying to get to Henry. The best way to get to Neverland is to use the saddle. And the best way to get the saddle to come is to have a child lure him there. Robin Hood has taken up residence in Rumble's old castle. Robin has a son, Roland, and Roland takes part in helping them to lure the saddle. And Bay is able to hitch a ride to Neverland with him. I've heard a lot of talk in different Facebook groups of how Once did an amazing job matching the characters, the actors, to how their Disney animated counterparts looked, and yet they did a bad job with the CGI. I have to disagree. I think the CGI in the shadow was pretty effective. It's a really creepy scene, and the shadow is, of course, a really creepy character. Bay's on his way to Neverland, and that leaves Robin standing there with Mulan. He invites Mulan to join his merry men, but there's something she has to do first. Mulan is going to go see if the woman that she loves her back.
Why are you smiling at me? I can tell you were bursting with news, but so am I.
You are.
Philip and I are expecting a baby.
You gotta feel so bad for Mulan in this scene. There is a woman that I do wish she would have been able to get together with, but I'm gonna have to wait until season 5 to talk about that. That's one of the hazards of doing these series that tell a progressive storyline. Like, oh man, I know what's gonna happen in a future season, and it really does tie in now, but I can't talk about that yet. I do remember the reaction on social media when this happened. I was really glad to see the representation. Though, of course, I do wish it would have turned out happier for Mulan. Mulan does get her welcome with Robin's merry men. And that's where we get another big reveal.
Welcome.
The episode closes on that cliffhanger, where we know that Robin Hood is the man that Regina was supposed to meet. I have to admit, when I first heard that, when I first saw that, I thought, wait a minute. I can't see those two together. But a lot's going to happen for all the couples in the show, for all the characters in the show. There's a lot more waiting, and I'm looking forward to getting to that in the next Once video that I do, which hopefully will not be too long from now. I have 3 different reviews coming up for a special series I plan to do. Not a movie series, but I'm going to be grouping 3 movies together for 3 different reviews. And I will be getting back to Once after that. I hope you'll enjoy the videos to come. Thanks for joining me, and until next time, remember the magic.